Okay, this is a Yamaha aspirated high output engine or cylinder head. Anyway, the engine at the moment I'm waiting on a crank. I've modified the combustion chambers, the ports. I've changed a couple of things on it. I will show people later if you're interested what I've done, but I need to test it too and show results. So EX, Spark, anything aspirated, well, they go alright for what they are. Alright. And then you got my favourite, the Kawasaki 15F. Oh, that thing's a rocket. Anyway, my mate owns one. I talked him into getting one. He loves the thing. That thing's an absolute rocket. Alright, but there is things you can improve. Alright, doesn't matter what you got. Alright, so I went with the Yamaha. Everyone says they're the best, and I've had a lot of bad luck with a few other brands. I won't talk about the names, but I'm not here to discriminate. Whatever you run, you run. If you're happy with it and it's working, well, that's great. Good on you. And that's the main game, like having fun and not working on the thing every time you go out. And being reliable. So in the high output, I run a colder plug. I go to a SVHO, and then I advance the camshaft 2 degrees on the inlet and the exhaust, and that will raise the compression. But not only that, it'll give you way more horsepower, more mid, more top end, and it's definitely a winner. But it comes to a point where you want to go a bit quicker, so it's time to really bump up torque top end and horsepower top end, because torque is the secret. You want to push a lot of water like these supercharged skis do. They create a lot more torque than what we do. Horsepower is nothing. The torque is the thing. You want to push a big prop, and you want to go fast, that's what you got to do. So, how do you get more torque top end? Well, it's easy. Flow more air. And people go, oh, I've got to put this thing in and I've got to putty up the inlet and shape the port, bigger power. As long as it's a smooth entry. Alright? There is things you don't want to go playing with. Too much angle on the porting on the inlet side, because the air will come in and tumble. Alright? It doesn't spiral. So you don't want to change like the porting shape. You don't want to cut too much off the floor of the port. So that's the floor on the inlet or exhaust. You don't want to touch too much of the base. You want to modify the roof. You want it to curve round that corner. There's a lot of imperfections in these heads, alright? They need cleaning up. Alright, so if you want to do something and make it go quicker, clean the ports up a bit, get some dummy valves in there, and, go shaping the inlet like a combustion chamber a little bit, and you'll have to CC them all after it. It can be a bit of a work. But I'm going to tell you something basic. You want power straight off the bat? Make sure everything's smooth, alright? More air can flow into the motor, more air can flow out, the more horsepower. The more torque top end. You'll make more torque at top end if you can flow more air. Not only that, you make more torque if you have higher compression. So, this is a 33cc combustion chamber. You want to come down to about 29-30cc. But when you do that, you can't run 91 anymore. You'll have to go to 93 in America, or you have to go to like 98 in Australia. You need to go up in octane. You run an E85, oh, you can get going. There's no point running E85 if you're not going to do this. Alright? E85 will gain another 8 horsepower. Raising the combustion and doing a proper port job can raise 25 horsepower. Alright, so, and that's on pump gas. So if you want more torque, more horsepower, that's what you got to do. And you got to tune the thing. Like, you might have to send it away to get it done. Someone might have to plug it in and take it for a couple of laps. But compression ratio does not change. Alright, does not change the air fuel ratio. You can go as much as you want, as long as it doesn't ping. Some people are going to like 13-1 on pump gas. But if you go down to 30cc, which is that, 30 mils is 30cc, 40 mils is 40cc, so on. So you want to go down to 30cc instead of 33. That'll raise the compression just under 12-1. And that should be about 8-9 horsepower on this motor. Alright, so if you're going to go up just over 12-1 with 29? Probably 1 horsepower if you're lucky. Alright, so you've got to play it out what's safe for you. I've run around on this with the 2 cams advanced, the inlet and exhaust, and it's fine. I want to go more, but what's more? Well, you've got to be careful. So anyway, I'm telling you something safe to hold the engine together. So you got a spark. You can advance the cam timing probably 2 degrees, and you got 1 cam anyway. So it'll definitely make more power top end. Alright, they all will. But you got to muck around with the compression. You got to be very careful with the spark too, because the overlap is pretty big. These have got 114 overlap factory. Don't want to go away from it. It makes the combustion really, really reliable. Alright, you'll make more horsepower top end with less overlap. With more overlap, you'll make more mid. And that's what a spark has. So you got to be very careful. Like, you want a smooth combustion chamber and everything, and you don't want to go too high with the compression. So little amounts of cc, like 3cc, you can knock it from 11-1 to 12-1, well, just under, I mean. So it's bugger all, but it multiplies as you go down the chamber. You divide the chamber into the cylinder. But we're only doing static compression. We're not doing dynamic here. We're not going into something else what is too complicated. And basically, they'll measure when the inlet valve shuts, work out the combustion area, because it's got no compression until the inlet shuts. Because the inlet is still drawing. And so therefore it's not compressing. And when it just shuts, that's your compression from there to the top. And that's dynamic compression. That's completely something different. But I'll keep away from that, because you really don't need to know any of that. That stuff's been worked out. I've just told you how to do it. So you can raise the compression past that. You can come down. Look, it's entirely up to you, but you need a more stable fuel. Like if you're going to run a spark and you're going to run the E85 tune, I'd definitely consider going like 13-1. Easy. 14-1, maybe. But yeah, be very careful on them motors. Like, I don't know too much about them. I know enough about the cam to think, yeah, I'd like to do a little bit of testing myself. But if you're going to run that sort of fuel and you want it to go a lot quicker, I'd definitely play with the compression. Because it's not really giving you much horsepower. You're probably making more 5 horsepower out of E85. You really want to multiply with the compression and make the full advantage of running E85. And look, these people will tell you stage 5. My stage 1 wouldn't even come close. Their stage 5 to my stage 1. Wouldn't even be in the ballpark. Like, and people bag you for doing a bit of work, and they got no idea what you've done. They think, oh yeah, you brought all your stuff from here and you brought it from there. You've just bolted it on. Well, I've got news for you. I don't bolt my stuff on. I don't buy any. I modify what's on it. Everything on my ski is modified. From the cam timing to the cylinder head to the pistons Like, they're run around on stock engines. Never been modified, never been balanced properly. Dynamically balanced. Like, that's completely different again. I'd never lighten the crankshaft, don't do that. Heavier crankshafts rev harder, and that's a fact. You can look at it, Google it, YouTube it. They get horrible vibrations if you lighten a crank. Don't do it. So, high revving engines, heavy cranks. Alright, you can look at the Hemis and stuff like that. They're all heavy cranks for revving hard. So, yeah. See what you think. What you want to have a go. Contact me. Tell me what the overlap is and that on a spark. What the compression ratio is. Look, I'm all out for NAs. I love them. But there's so much you can do. These are so underrated, all these motors at NA. They got a lot more coming. Like, I've ported my inlet manifold, I've changed the throttle body, I've changed a lot of things, and I've never tested it because I'm still waiting on stuff. So I'm telling you the stuff I've been running to not complicate things and tell you stuff what I haven't tried, and you can go blowing yours up. Let me blow mine up, and therefore you can have a nice easy ride and not worry about it. But yeah, I did pump it up to 12-1, just under. And I'll tell you what, massive mid-range, to the point my passenger couldn't even hang on. That's how much. Silly. And I was running a 13-18 prop, 155 housing. Well, that's ridiculous. But anyway, I'm probably going to have to go a bigger prop soon. I run some crazy propellers, and I've trialled a couple of things, but I've come out with a couple of sweet ones too. I've got videos on how to repitch a propeller to make more power out of an NA. But these people telling you about, oh, this goes faster and this makes 2 miles an hour, they're dreaming. I've used ride plates and they're going 2 miles an hour slower. Dead set, they're sitting in the garbage bin up the back in the aluminium scrap bin. I'm using a factory one. I'll go around and clean them all up, all these factory ones. I'll modify them because I know they work. Yeah, it probably doesn't handle as good in the chop. Yeah, it probably doesn't handle as good on the corner. But I'll tell you what it makes up for on a straight line is good. I don't care what you're doing around a corner. I'm only running a straight line. Most people do. You know, they're running rivers and they'll say, oh, I need more off the line. At the end of the day, you're not taking off every second. You're moving. You need more mid, more top. So, more top end, more torque, more horsepower, bigger flow. You want flow. You want it to come in nicely. You don't want sharp edges like I've said before about a thumbprint in the exhaust. Get rid of it. They're just things that crack the cylinder head. By the way, if you want a bit of a hand about cracking cylinder heads, don't turn the motor off unless you're pulling up for a couple of hours or half an hour. Take the seats off, let it ventilate, or raise the pipes higher to the motor so the water doesn't run out the engine. So you still got warm water in there when you go to start it. You don't want cold water coming in and cracking the head. Alright. So if you fall off the screen, you've got to restart it. Yeah, well, that's the time people usually crack the cylinder head. People, oh, no. It's the valve springs, it's revving them too hard and this. No, look, it's not that at all. You get a glass and you heat it up and you go putting it in cold water, it's going to crack. So, that's a bit of advice for you. A bit of stuff I've learned over the years, and I've been a mechanic for years. It's cracking because you're putting cold water in it. So, yeah, let me know what you come up with and what you think, but I'll post videos later of what I've done to this head, but at this point I'm not posting anything in case something drastically goes wrong. And it's a flop. So, it's better you don't know and you can't get into trouble. Alright, thanks for watching.